What's up, my friends? How's it going today? How's everybody doing? It's towards the evening here in Portland. I always say Portland, and then my mom corrects me. She says, "Why do you always say Portland? You don't live in Portland." Okay, well, I live in Vancouver. It's technically directly across the bridge from Portland, but it's basically considered Portland. Maybe a Portland suburb these days, but, you know, with the border anyway. I use that to define the area I'm from, and there's the second Portland, the Portland on the West Coast, and you know, people out here on the West Coast are different, and it's apparent in the way that not just people vote, but in the needs and the desires of the people in the country. We're a very large country that has come down a lot of rough roads. And I was, a few minutes ago, I was in there messing around on my Kindle, and I found I started using the little notepad on there in the text-to-speech option, and often those have been kind of faulty in the past, but this one's very accurate. And so I started speaking, and the next thing I know, I'm writing this whole blog, and and I find that by closing my eyes, I can really speak how I'm feeling, and do basically what I do in the videos, but even less distraction. And I'm trying to figure out what I want to do as far as, you know, I've had this channel for 5 years and I've been wanting to do something with it, but I've never figured out something I want to consistently do. There have been times when I want to talk about news or politics or stuff, then I say no, I'll lose my interest in that. I can't talk about a specific, you know, item or product. It's not like I can do a vape channel or a cannabis channel, because I've tried that. I'm not interested in just talking about cannabis, and that's why I have this all-around channel, which is everything. But I did get that green screen recently, and I'm thinking about doing videos that are specific to technology and how it's affecting us, because technology is something that has changed the face of the planet and the way that we see one another. And so while I was writing, I kind of sent this as an email to myself so I could read it out loud here. I don't have a name for it, but it's kind of long. So if you want to bear with me, I'm going to read it. It's not political. It's not anything about the election, or, you know, it's specifically just about where we've come from as a society. How much we've changed. So I got to get my nicotine first, right? More technology. So, it says, we've grown weary as a society, not just of one another, but of the efficacy of the system as a whole. We start to wonder if there is any chance that mankind will be able to turn the tide on the problems that we've created in the world we inhabit. But let's be fair here. Blame must be placed not just on the people, but on the situation we are in and the hand we are dealt. We thought technology would save us. We thought that we could build our way to happiness. Without 2 cars in the garage and a white picket fence to keep us content, we found out that we were wrong. From the dawn of man, we've been a competitive species, yet one that needed to cooperate. We would hunt for ourselves, but we knew that hunting with the group was more successful. The Industrial Revolution drove us further apart, as there was a working class and a ruling class which helped to foster a new economic system, which we called progress. The cost of this progress was not made clear until recent times. We thought that we were all working towards a common goal, the good of the whole nation. We were willing to risk our lives and paychecks to see that a job was well done, because we were proud of what we did. Soldiers were willing to go to war because we knew that fighting other nations was our only chance not to be attacked ourselves, or so we were told. We were willfully ignorant because the age of information was not upon us yet, but that all changed. In the 1990s, the internet became commercially available to the extent that the average person could buy a computer and connect to anyone, anywhere in the world. It was only a matter of time until we were able to start wondering if what we'd been told was in fact the truth. Many of the former conspiracies have now become facts, and official documents confirmed that our own government has been lying to us from the beginning, that we have always been fooled, that we were fooled by choice because we thought that a comfortable life for us was a comfortable life for everyone. This also turned out not to be the case. It was much easier to hide from what was going on in the world when we were not exposed to it daily. And then there was the media. The media contributed to decades of disillusionment, and we became passive about world issues. During the wars, if the people spoke too loudly against them, they were always reminded that we needed to be patriots. If they resisted too much, the media would merely omit stories about that particular war. And as the years went on, the media corporations were consolidated more and more until they were owned by a very few. Some of them liberal, some of them conservative, but all of them self-invested. The question was never about quality of content. It was merely about ratings and profits. After all, you have to answer to your shareholders first in corporate America. In recent years, it got to the point where every news story was treated like an infomercial. Fancy graphics and banners, lots of breaking news, and we started to see that what mattered to the masses didn't matter to many of us. Now, we as a nation and as a species sit on the precipice of the greatest growth in human history that we know of. As far as material gain, we have looted the earth for its resources and plundered the economy for profits. For the last century, we have worked towards self-preservation and short-term gain without considering the long-term consequences. This means that the generations of today are left with the burden and responsibility of figuring out how to proceed in such a way that we can continue to live together in this world without destroying ourselves in the process. In centuries past, we could make decisions that might affect the kingdom, but that was often as far as it would go. Standing armies and catapults could only take you so far into battle without considering the consequences of the decision as you were making it. With the creation of the bomb and the instant communication that we have available today, the face of war has changed completely. We could blow ourselves off the map in a matter of hours if we made the decision to do so. This should scare the hell out of everyone on the planet. And it does. But we have to live our lives, so we put it in the back of our mind and allow it to fester. We, the people, no longer have to control over the decisions that are made in our name. Too long we have fought wars in the name of religion, nationalism, and mere pride. We like to think that we are doing right things for the right reasons, so therefore we tend to defend ourselves when we know we are in error. Nobody wants to admit that they've made a mistake, but the more we do so, the better our world becomes. I always think of the quote that I believe Albert Einstein said about World War III. The only part I remember is he said World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. That should be a wake-up call to anyone to consider. This is the fact of the matter. If we allow ourselves to fall into chaos, there may not be any recovery. And that is a selfish notion because everyone suffers, not just the ones who make the decisions. Yet, not just humans, animals and plants as well. We are the caretakers of ourselves, but we have the option to be the caretakers of each other and our planet. The decision we make today will have repercussions for centuries, and we are already seeing the results of our footprint. I'm not sure what I can do about it, except live. Live my life the best I can and live it to its fullest. In the process, I hope not to impede anyone else's journey, and to ensure that I am helping others as much as possible. It is a very complicated thing, life is. Altruism is something that is hard to understand, but simple to achieve. The only thing that we can know for sure is that when we help each other, it makes us feel good inside. And when we curse and scold each other, it makes us feel upset and angry, frustrated. I think that we can say without a doubt the best way to live is in a way that harms nobody else and allows you to grow and flourish in this wonderful place that we call Earth. It's all we know, and it's all we have. Peace to all. Carpo. P.S. That doesn't mean that we can't get angry and lash out when we feel like we've been wrong. Living a good life sometimes means you have to get your hands dirty. You know, I'm thinking in the future, maybe I should do more, vocal writing before I do a video, but I can't read off of it, I don't know, I find that it's a rare trait to be able to talk off the cusp and discuss things the way I do. And I only say it's a rare trait because I I see a lot of folks who try and want to do it. In other words, I take it for granted being able to talk. I might call it the gift of gab. And to a lot of people that just means the art of bullshit. But I'm not bullshitting. I'm telling you how I feel and the thoughts that I have. And I don't make things up out of thin air. I really try to research and know what I'm talking about to an extent. And if I don't, I'll tell you as much. But being able to talk, isn't something that everybody can do, and this is why I feel obligated to do it. When I started making YouTube videos, and people would ask me, hey, how do I start making videos? I'd say, well, you just pick up a camera and you start speaking your mind. And they would try, perhaps, and maybe not succeed, or maybe succeed. Some people are really good at it. Some people are way better on camera than I am, and they know how to, they have these personas and whatnot. I'm just a raw human that has thoughts and ideas, and as much as I'd love to expand and start doing other things like, I don't know, shorter, more condensed videos, that's just not how I roll. And I love the ability to be able to rationalize things and see life for what I think it is, but I also respect other people's views. I really do. It doesn't mean, though, that I can't scold people if I feel like their decisions were bad. And kind of like with the current election cycle, I mean, some Trump voters were upset or bothered by the fact that I called them idiots, but I said, hey, you have to be fair. I have an honest feeling of how I feel about something. It's the same way, if somebody supports a bad decision, it's an idiotic thing to a person who doesn't agree with it, and that's okay. But I understand that each person has their own view of how to proceed with humanity in general, not just because these elections don't mean really anything. It's just another step in, towards the demise of mankind. We've grown too big too fast, and we have a lot to answer for. A lot of the mistakes that were made. But it's not worth it just to sit around and complain. It's not worth it to sit and dwell on what our ancestors did. It's not worth it for us to blame anything but the dollar, which is the bottom line, the dollar. People want to make money because they want security. So if you really want to break it down, it's security that people are after. And they seek more and more money because they're seeking more and more security. They'll buy more houses, they'll buy more cars, but that security never comes because it doesn't exist. I think that a lot of humans believe that there really is a state of security you get to. And it's just as much of a delusion as the kid that thinks you grow up and you're all of a sudden an adult. Or that you're all of a sudden responsible. Or, it's a very subjective and individual case for each person as to when they're truly mature. I have met 14-year-olds that should be allowed to vote, as far as I'm considered, that should be allowed to drink and all the things that a 21-year-old can do, because honestly I'm seeing 40, 50, 60-year-olds that are complete imbeciles and act like children and want to argue about silly things and use ad hominem attacks and curse at one another. And it's not that we have to be PC. It's not that we have to tiptoe around each other. And it's not about thin skin. It's about mutual respect. And the one thing we're finding with the growing internet is the fact that people do carry themselves differently on the internet than they would in person. And I try really hard not to. I try to respond the way that I would as if I was talking, because if I'm talking to somebody, this is how I talk. We all have our own opinions. We all have our own ideas, but in the end, we're all just people, and we don't know shit. An academic, I guess, I want to kind of delve into that a little bit. Some of the people who are just too smart for their own good, I'm just glad I'm not one. I thought I was pretty up on certain subjects, and then sometimes I'll get into a conversation with somebody who's just blows me out of the water and knows more about that. And that's something I love, because I can be shown when I'm wrong about something or when there's something else I need to learn. But for me, it's about growth. If you're just proving that you're right, even though somebody else might be right, then you're not learning anything, and then you will continue to fail in your discussions. But growing from that is important, and I've gained a lot from other people by listening. and trying to understand them, because it's helped me live better. It's helped me be happier. It's helped me get over things. You know, I'm not a person who harbors resentment or holds things against people. It's pointless. It's a complete waste of energy and time. I have kids, and I'll tell you, being a parent's the hardest job that I've ever had. When they're fighting and hitting each other, and they come in crying because one pinched the other and the other kicked the other, and they're bleeding, you have to yell, you have to get mad, you have to get upset, and then you have to learn how to just let it go. I can be raging on them 1 minute and punishing them for something that they're doing that they should not be doing, and then the next minute turn around and be totally content, passive, and calm. And that's something that when I was younger, I realized that sometimes if I'd get frustrated, it would carry with me. It would be like that anger, and you can't let it go. And I learned to let it go. Kids taught me how to let it go. But what I'm saying is that that aspect of my life allowed me to deal better with people who are very standoffish or rude or hateful, and learn how to just blow them off, because I have bigger fish to fry, bigger issues in life than arguing with somebody who, just wants to argue, because kids just want to argue. And I guess that's why I see the childish attitude reflected in a lot of people. But try not to blame them. Life throws us many different life just throws us many different curveballs, and we all deal with them in our own way. And like I said in the thing, all we can do is try to live the best life we can without harming anyone. So it's getting dark out here, so I guess I'm going to go. I hope you all have a wonderful night, and we'll be talking to you soon.